Up Rondo, he puts it in. Here's Davis, 4-3 in the win. Oh, it's good! Anthony Davis has won it for the Lakers!
Starting with the most sought-after award, my sleeper pick to win Most Valuable Player is Lakers star forward Anthony Davis. There's three main criteria for the MVP award historically, and those have been number 1, individual stats, which are the player's box score numbers like points, rebounds, assists, field goal percentage, etc. Number 2 is the narrative, what is the unique story surrounding that player this season. And then number 3 is the team record, how many wins and where did his team finish in the conference. It's very rare that a player wins this award without his team finishing at least top 4 in his conference. Now AD is coming off of one of the worst years of his career, and people are already starting to count him out when they mention the NBA's elite. Most media rankings have him outside the top 10 now, when just a couple seasons ago he was a consensus top 5 player after helping lead the Lakers to a championship alongside LeBron. After playing just 40 games last season with a full offseason to work on his body and get healthy, I believe AD hears the naysayers loud and clear and will respond with a career year. The Lakers will need AD to have monster production to compete in the West, and they're at a point where relying on 37-year-old LeBron to be their leading scorer is ill-advised. They were most effective in that 2019-2020 championship season when AD was the leading scorer and LeBron put a heavy emphasis on facilitating, averaging double-digit assists. I think they will go back to that formula, and a healthy and motivated AD will have no problem putting up monster numbers. That will lead to the narrative of a return-to-form season for AD, which will resonate strongly among media voters. The biggest question of the three main criteria remains the team record component, but I believe if AD indeed performs at an elite level, bolstered by another All-NBA season by LeBron and a slightly improved supporting cast after a likely Russell Westbrook trade, Lakers have at least a shot at getting a top 4 seed in the West, which should put AD among the favorites to win this award. One of the more underrated acquisitions of the offseason was the 76ers trade for 24-year-old guard DeAnthony Melton. Melton flew under the radar in Memphis because of their unusual depth at nearly every position, but he should play an important and perhaps more defined role with the Sixers. The Sixers have a loaded starting lineup, but not a lot of scoring depth, which should allow Melton to fill a larger role offensively than he had in Memphis, and Melton's high-level perimeter defense should get a lot more appreciation on a Sixers team that projects to finish among the top of the league record-wise. The trend with this award across the last 5 years has been high-scoring guards around the 18 to 20 point per game mark on winning teams. Melton has a different game than the recent winners, and projects to score more in the 12 to 14 point per game range, but there might be some voter fatigue when it comes to the typical score-first six-man archetype that could play into Melton's advantage as a high-impact defender on a winning team. I think being in a bigger market as a primary option off the bench will lead to more appreciation for Melton's two-way impact, and it's only a matter of time before the media starts recognizing defense when considering their Six-Man of the Year selection. Another very under-the-radar option for this award would be Minnesota guard Jaylen Nowell, who I recently made a video on. Nowell is plus 8,000 per Vegas Insider. Going back the last several years, there's a very clear trend that has emerged with the Most Improved Player award. It obviously requires that the player make a statistical jump, but equally as important is that said player is the best player on his team, and if his team outperforms expectations, that is even better for his case. Ja Morant and Julius Randle, the two most recent winners, both fulfilled the criteria of being the best players in their team the year they won the award, and their respective teams greatly exceeded preseason expectations concerning win totals. I think Cade Cunningham is well positioned to win this award, as he's already the unquestioned offensive leader of the team and will command a high usage rate next season that gives him a good chance to have a strong uptick in stats. I also think that the Pistons are a team with fairly low collective expectations, whereby just having a decent season around 500 would be seen as a success and catapult Cunningham's chances. The biggest barrier here is that Cunningham is only a second-year player, and historically guys do not win this award until around year 3 or year 4. In fact, you have to go all the way back to the 06-07 season when Monte Ellis won to find the last time a second-year player has won this award. That being said, it's reasonable to expect an all-star caliber season from Cunningham based on how strongly he finished last year. That, coupled with a solid team record, should be enough for him to buck this trend. Another option I like here is another player I've covered in the past in Jalen Brunson. The reason I didn't select Brunson here is because I feel that his odds aren't quite juicy enough for him to qualify as a sleeper in this category. Unlike Most Improved Player, which tends to cast a wider net as far as potential candidates, there's really only a handful of guys each year with legitimate Defensive Player of the Year potential. This past season, we saw Marcus Smart take home the award in what was a departure from the years prior to that, which saw big men or defensive anchor types like Gobert and Giannis win the award. I think Smart winning will be the start of a new trend where more media recognition is given to perimeter defenders with a renewed appreciation in part due to how switch-heavy and positionless the game has become. Ben Simmons has legitimate 5-position versatility on defense, and after already having finished second in the last season he played in 2020-2021, I see a great opportunity for him to be considered this season. Brooklyn does not need to rely on Simmons for scoring the way that Philadelphia did, which should allow Simmons to focus a ton of energy on the defensive end where his strength resides. After a drama-filled year of sitting out for Simmons, it could make for a nice narrative as well to have a bounce-back season for a winning Nets team that ends in him taking home some hardware. Coach of the Year odds are pretty clustered around the 10-1 mark, as the difference in candidacy and the overall criteria here is very vague. It's really more a reflection on team record than crediting the X's and O's of a particular coaching scheme. Looking at past examples, there are 2 possible routes to winning Coach of the Year. The first is being the head coach of the team with the best record in the league, a case we just saw with Monty Williams and the 64-win Phoenix Suns. Another example would include Budenholzer and the 2018-2019 Milwaukee Bucks. The second route to winning is being the head coach of the team that exceeds preseason win total expectations by the greatest margin, seen most recently in 2020-2021 with the surprising 4th seed Knicks led by Thibodeau. Another recent example of this path to winning is Nick Nurse and the 2019-2020 post-Kawhi Raptors. My Coach of the Year sleeper pick, I'm going with the first route here as I project the Denver Nuggets and head coach Mike Malone to have a fantastic regular season. The last time we saw this team with their 3 best players healthy, they were a force in the bubble, making the Western Conference Finals and upsetting the Clippers. I expect that with the returns of Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr., this Nuggets team will reach a new level and finish in the ballpark of 60 wins. Anytime a team approaches 60 wins and finishes first in their conference, history tells us that at least one person from the organization is expected to bring home an award, whether it be a player, coach, or executive personnel. With Nikola Jokic already having won back-to-back MVPs, I think he's virtually out of the running to win a 3rd straight because of the well-known media bias and voter fatigue. Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. both have a shot at Most Improved, but as I explained earlier, it's not as common for a 2nd or 3rd option to win Most Improved. That means that someone else other than a player will have to receive credit for the Nuggets' success in the form of an award, and Coach of the Year is the logical place to fill this void as Malone has never won despite being a highly regarded coach during his tenure in Denver. The last major award to be handed out is the Rookie of the Year, and unfortunately, there's no sleeper for me in this category as I think the history of the award makes it very difficult for me to pick anybody else but Paolo Banchero. Historically, this award has gone to the rookies who have high usage roles that allow them to put up the best box score numbers out of anyone in their draft class. Winning doesn't hurt, obviously, nor does it seem to impact opinions much in the minds of voters. Banchero is currently the only rookie that projects to have number 1 option type usage, which makes it very hard to pick anybody else in this spot, barring serious injury. Banchero should run away with Rookie of the Year this season, given the role he is set to have, and the NBA-ready physical tools and skills he already possesses. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, please leave a comment and subscribe to the channel. Let me know if you have a sleeper for any of these awards that's different from who I chose. Also, be sure to stick around and check out some of my past videos on hidden gem players to watch for, with the season right around the corner.